Okay, I'd like to call our Murray City Council meeting to order. Let's see, I'm going to have our future fire chief lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. John, would you do me the honor?
Would everybody please rise? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Well, now, nothing's scheduled for approval of the minutes, so we'll move on to our special recognitions. Items 5.31 and 5.32. Consider a joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray in appreciation of Chief Gil Rodriguez. Mayor Camp presenting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a great night. It's a memorable night. Before I read this joint resolution, I want to take a little personal liberty and just mention I have known Gil throughout his entire career at Murray City, start to finish. In 1984, we opened a new fire station over on Bullion Street, Station 83, and we were able to hire a few new firefighters, and Gil was one who was hired when I received my first promotion that same year. So I've had the opportunity to not only work alongside Gil, work with him, but I've also worked as a peer to him. After I retired from Murray City and Gil took over as fire chief, I had the opportunity to be a fire chief elsewhere, so it was great to work with him peer to peer. And now, once again, I find myself as your supervisor. I don't know. I hope this is the last time, Cindy. That's your job. But I do appreciate the opportunity to present this resolution this evening. So I'll go ahead and read it, and then I'll invite you to come up, Chief. I need my glasses. A joint resolution of the Mayor and Murray City Municipal Council in appreciation of Fire Chief Gil Rodriguez. Whereas Chief Rodriguez has spent many years dedicated to public safety service in Murray City, he began his career with the city in 1984 as a firefighter, followed by a promotion to captain in 1996, to battalion chief in 1998, deputy fire chief in 2002, and was appointed to fire chief in 2005. And whereas Chief Rodriguez has been an advocate for the Murray Fire Department, he played an integral role in establishing our own ambulance service and has been proactive in identifying ways to protect our fire personnel and better serve our citizens. And whereas Chief Rodriguez also served as chairman of the Greater Salt Lake Chief Fire Officers Association in 2006, chairman of the Salt Lake Valley Chiefs Fire Alliance from 2006 to 2008, chairman of the Valley Emergency Operations Board, chairman of the Joint Council of Fire Service Organizations from 2003 to 2008, president of the Utah State Fire Chiefs Association from 2012 to 2015, and the Utah representative for the Western Fire Chiefs Association from 2015 to 2017. You just couldn't say no, could you? And whereas Chief Rodriguez has volunteered his time and expertise to many admirable nonprofit organizations. He was a volunteer for the Red Cross, serving on their board of directors for 4 years and on their Heroes Committee for 6 years. He was a volunteer for Muscular Dystrophy Association, where he was honored as Volunteer of the Year. Additionally, he has provided immeasurable service to the National Fallen Firefighters Association, and through his management and coordination of the annual Wasatch Memorial Golf Tournament, has helped them raise over $100,000 for the families of fallen firefighters. And whereas Chief Rodriguez has been a teacher, coach, and mentor to the youth, He began his teaching and coaching career in the Los Angeles Unified School District before moving to Utah and working for the Salt Lake City School District. He continued coaching at Murray High School, and in his opinion, football is the only sport that really matters. And whereas Chief Rodriguez will be deeply missed by the fire department, elected officials, department heads, and staff, his leadership, knowledge, humility, friendship, and sense of humor have positively impacted all of those that were fortunate enough to work with him. We hope that he will enjoy countless hours on the golf course and on the slopes and spending time with family and friends. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor of Murray City and the Murray City Municipal Council that the city hereby recognizes the service of Chief Gil Rodriguez and the benefit his service has brought to the citizens of Murray City on this 12th day of June 2018. Mr. Chair, I'll give it back to you for council action.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution of the mayor and municipal council of Murray City, Utah, in appreciation of Chief Gil Rodriguez.
I'll second.
Motion and seconded. Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Do we want some comments from the chief?
Okay, now it's official.
Thank you. I think Mayor Camp has just been following me around to be my boss. 35 years ago is pretty fast. It really does, especially when you do something that you really love. And this is a great place. Not only is the fire department a great place, but Murray City is a great place. Yeah, I really appreciate the relationship I have with all of you, because I have a special relationship with every one of you. You know, whether it's people that work in the city, whether it's the council, the firefighters. I can't say enough about them, but I really appreciate the 35 years, because it's been 35 years of work without really working, because you enjoy what you do, and I appreciate that. Yeah, life in the fire department's a great thing. I'd say more, but I'm probably going to save that for Thursday. But also, I wanted to thank my family. My kids aren't here, but they'll be here Thursday. But especially my wife, because she has put up with a lot for 35 years. I don't know, the next ones are going to be a little bit tougher, but she's ready for that. Anyways, I want to thank you guys, because it is a great place, a great job, and it's exciting to see what's going to happen next. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Gil. We'll now move to the second item under special recognition. Murray City Council Employee of the Month, Dave Florin. Murray City Fire Captain Brett Hales and Chief Rodriguez presenting.
Come on up, Dave. I saw Dave walk in and I looked at Jan. Come on over here, Dave. And I looked at Jan and I said, he's worked here 27 years old. He's 35. How could he work here 27 years? What is that? We just want to recognize you, Dave, and we started this program about 6 years ago. And it's just kind of an exciting thing for us to be able to recognize employees each month. And Gil submitted your name, and Gil have a little bit to say, but we will put your name on the plaque back here, and we always say that's going to last as long as the building lasts, which is about another 6 months. But so we'll move it to the new building. But here we have a certificate for you in appreciation for 27 years, and then also More important than anything, the $50 gift card. That's the biggest thing. So as from the council, we just want to show, give our appreciation, and we know that you guys work your tails off, and we are really appreciative to you, so thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Yeah, I guess it's all about the fire department, so we've got right bookends, right in the front and right in the end. You know, you say that Dave looks like he's 27 years old. Dave looks exactly the same, except for a couple of things. He's got a few gray hairs, and he doesn't have that perm that he had when we first hired him, right?
You had a
And also,
perm?
this gift card that you think is for Dave, it's really for Anita. Anyways, Dave, we want to thank you for your dedicated service. You got hired in 93 as a part-timer, or 91 as a part-timer, 93 full-time. You were one of the first paramedics that we had as we started our paramedic program. As we talk about the paramedic program and we talk about the ambulance, Chief Camp was an integral part of that. You know, sometimes when you get promoted, all of a sudden it's like you're just picking up where somebody else left off. Dave's always been very supportive of the programs that we have in Murray City at the fire department. So he was one of the first paramedics to graduate from Weber State. He's a member of the USAR Task Force 5. He takes care of our ambulance fleet and does a very good job. You know, they send us the ambulance one day and it's like, okay, a couple things to work on. And Dave's like, no, take it back and give it to us when it's ready. And that's kind of what we need. Dave and his family can always be seen at the fire department functions. They're a part of our family. And we appreciate Dave's dedicated service. He's also known for his 36-inch vertical leap.
Wow.
What'd you say in the fire department? It will follow you for the rest of your life, before and after. And of course, Dave's most recent accomplishment is he was recently promoted to our newest battalion chief. So congratulations, Dave.
I just wanted to say thank you, and I'd like to introduce my family. Where is she? Okay, there's my wife, Anita. It's my niece, Jessie, my daughter, Courtney, my son-in-law, Joel, and in the back is my daughter, Desiree, and my granddaughter, Braylon. So I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you for the chief for all everything he's done, and for Mayor Blair Camp. I couldn't have done it without the two of you, too. And the incoming chief, too. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Yes, Mayor.
Yeah, I just want to take just a second to say congratulations, Dave, not only on this recognition, but on your promotion. Well-deserved. I've also known Dave his entire career here in Murray, and so I look for good things from you. So congratulations.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. We're now at the citizen comments portion of our meeting, where we entertain citizen comments that are limited to 3 minutes. So if you have an issue or a concern, please come to the podium and take 3 minutes. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda of our program. We will begin with item 7.1, consider a confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Darren G. Byrd to the Shade Tree Commission for a 3-year term to expire June 30th. Item 7.2, consider a confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Janelle Nelson to the Shade Tree Commission for a 3-year term to expire June 30th. And item 7.3, we will consider a confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Judith Payne to the Shade Tree Commission for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2021. Mayor, you move those?
Thank you. I know that all of you know Darren, Janelle, and Judith, and I don't know if any of them are here this evening, but see any of them. But I know you've seen them at many of the events that the Shade Tree Commission has been involved in, the Beautification Awards and Arbor Day and so on. And you also have their resumes in your packet, so you know how qualified they are. And we're very grateful for their service, and also grateful that they're all willing to be reappointed. So I just ask for your approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we confirm the mayor's reappointment of Darren Byrd to the Shade Commission, to confirm the mayor's reappointment of General Nelson to the Shade Commission, and to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Judith Payne to the Shade Commission, Shade Tree Commission.
I'll second that.
Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, Councilman Cox. We'll now move to item 8, public hearings. The first public hearing has been continued from June 5th, 2018. We've already held public comments, so that will be closed. We'll now consider a motion to comment on, on the intended transfer of monies from enterprise funds to other city funds. We'll have Denise Steck present.
I believe we did our presentation, our last council meeting. The intent of the transfers is 8% of the revenues of the enterprise funds to the general fund to subsidize services that would otherwise be funded through property taxes. So we would just need your authority to do so.
Okay, thank you, Denise. That's pretty straightforward. If I could have a motion on the transfer of monies?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we adopt the ordinance adopting the transfer of monies from enterprise funds to other city funds.
I'll second.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that concludes 8.11. We'll now move on to 8.2, the continuation of the budget hearing, continued from June 5, 2018. We will consider an ordinance adopting the final 2018-2019 fiscal year budget for Murray City, including the library fund budget. And this will have an amendment, and I believe Councilman Brass will make that amendment when appropriate. Denise, would you like to present on this matter?
She's gone. I'll say the same thing as last week.
I'll say the same thing as last week. We made a complete presentation last week before we heard public comment on the budget. This is an item that you've been considering for about a month now. You've had the printed budget online available for the public to see, and more information will be loaded online at a later date as well. And I believe that everything is in order except for the amendment that I've asked Councilman Brass to do for us. Today we received updated numbers from the Utah State Tax Commission that provided us with our property tax revenue, and that would need to be amended. We just received the information today. So it's a slight amendment to revenues, and it will reduce the amount that we'll need to use in reserves from next year. So we'll leave it to Councilman Brass to make the amendment, and otherwise we're asking for you to adopt the budget as final for this fiscal year. Thank you. Or for
Okay.
next fiscal year.
Thank you, Denise. So we have an ordinance proposal before us to adopt the final 2018-2019 fiscal year budget. Do we have an amendment?
Yes, I'll see if I can do this right. I would make a motion that we adopt the ordinance adopting the final 2018-2019 fiscal year budgets for Murray City, including the library fund, with the following amendments. And those amendments are that property tax funds for the general revenue increase from $8,950,000 to $9,096,000, and reduce the use of reserves from $722,822 to $576,822. And that change, and the next change I'm going to read is it reflects the certified tax rate that the state notified us of. And then the second amendment to the budget would be amending the property tax revenue for the library fund from $2,210,142 to $2,362,000. And increase the reserve buildup from $493,641 to $645,499. And again, that reflects the change in the certified tax rate as received. And that's my motion.
Okay, motion and amended.
I'll second that.
Seconded, Jennifer?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that concludes the budget discussion. And we will now move to public hearing number 3. Consider an ordinance relating to land use. It amends the zoning map for the properties located at 23 East 6100 South, 25 East 6100 South, and 6095 South Main Street in Murray City, Utah, from R15 Residential Single Family Zoning District to CD Commercial Development Zoning District. Applicant is Marcelo Ocon. Tim Tingy is presenting.
Council, this item was considered at a public hearing by the Planning Commission on May 17th. They provided a recommendation on this. The item we talked about also last week in the Committee of the Whole meeting. It's fairly straightforward. The properties currently are zoned R18, single-family residential. The general plan supports it going to commercial development, conditional, and that means that the type of uses that it can go through from single family to a mix of retail, office, a variety of uses that you see along State Street are the types of uses that can be located here. Obviously, there are bounds with the size of the property and the requirements for that. The staff looked at this, provided recommendations to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission recommended approval. As I mentioned, the general plan does support this. There was a rezone a few years ago that a portion of the property adjacent to this was rezoned, and we're recommending approval of this tonight. Happy to answer questions.
Any questions for Tim? Okay, seeing none, we'll take the matter to the council for, public hearing. We'll take the matter to the public for any comment from our residents. Okay, seeing none, we'll bring the matter back to the council for discussion and/or a motion.
No discussion, I'll make a motion. Move that we approve an ordinance relating to the land use, amend the zoning map for the properties located at 23 East 6100 South, 25 East 6100 South, and 6095 South Main Street, Murray City, Utah, from R15 Residential Single Family Zoning District to the CD Commercial Development
Brett,
Zoning. Did I
Brett,
read
that
the
should
wrong
say,
one?
no, you read it right. It
Oh.
should say R18.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, excuse me.
That's an error.
Okay, so it's, okay, so same thing, but we'll go back to, from R18, R18 zoning district to the CD Commercial Development Zoning District. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that concludes that matter. We'll move to item 8.4, public hearing number 4. We will consider an ordinance amending section 2.06.060 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to compensation of the mayor. G.L. Critchfield presenting.
This amendment to this ordinance is to ordinance 2.06.060, which deals with the compensation for the mayor. And as you know, we've discussed this or presented this in the Committee of the Whole. There is the Utah state law, which is entitled the Post-Retirement Reemployment Restrictions Act, which essentially sets out an election for a person who is employed and then retires from a public entity and then is reemployed by the public entity. And in case of a mayor who is elected, the same rule applies, and the rule essentially says that when he is reemployed, he has the choice of foregoing his retirement and having additional years of service added to what he has, or he can choose the retirement, he can elect the retirement benefit, and then must forego any employer-related contributions to his retirement. What this ordinance does is it allows a mayor who elects to retain the retirement allowance to have an equal amount of money that would have gone to retirement added to the regular compensation. So it doesn't increase the mayor's compensation; it keeps it the same amount. but it does comply with state law. What I would ask you to do is you look at this, as I recommend that you pass it, that you further refine the language. If you look at your ordinance, right now it says that the new language says if the mayor is subject to the Post-Retirement Reemployment Restrictions Act under Section 4911-1201 of the Utah Code as amended, and elects to retain the retirement allowance. I'd like that added. That further refines it. The mayor shall not receive any retirement contribution. An amount equal to the retirement contribution received by city employees shall be added to the mayor's regular compensation.
Any questions for GL? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to a motion in a second.
Public hearing.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Councilman Brass. Appreciate that. Any responses from the public? Any comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll bring this matter back to the council. Any discussion or questions?
I would
Okay.
make a motion that we adopt the ordinance amending section 206060 of the Murray City Municipal Code relating to the compensation of the mayor.
I'll second.
Aye.
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 Aye. We'll now move to item, public hearing number 5. Consider an ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2017 to 2018 budget. Denise Steck presenting.
It's usually the Tim Tingy show, but I guess tonight it's the budget show, huh? Sorry, Tim, I just had to do it. So this is a large budget opening. It is the last budget opening for the fiscal year, so we're truing up a lot of the revenues that are exceeded the budget, some expenditures that may exceed their original budgets. So I'm going to quickly read through the items for each fund. In the general fund, we will be asking for no appropriation outside of the additional revenues that we've received. So we're going to receive premium proceeds in the amount of $99,000. Building permits in excess, $285,000. Plan check fees, $63,000. Mechanical permits, $18,000. Road cut fees, $12,000. Plumbing fees, $14,000. That tells you that the Community Development Department has been very busy this year. Miscellaneous fire services, $40,000. Miscellaneous revenue, $25,000. Again, a department that is very busy is passports. Passport fees exceeded revenues by $45,000 this year. They have done an incredible job of processing. Interest income of $70,000. So that's our additional revenues for the year for the general fund. Our non-departmental miscellaneous expense, we're going to put $148,000 in there. By no means do we believe that that will be spent, but that will just be where the additional revenues kind of just sit until year end, until we know where all the expenses come in.
And where are you putting it again?
So you can rate it? I'm just kidding. Not non-departmental miscellaneous expense.
Miscellaneous expense. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Some of the advertising that we're having to do with the budget and those kinds of things will all go into non-departmental expense, and this will take some of that expense away. So. $5,000 in wages for human resources. There was no change in wages. They were just budgeted, not quite at the appropriate level. Overtime for the fire department of $175,000. Part-time wages for the park center of $75,000. Wages for the outdoor pool, $3,000. Wages for admin and development services of $30,000. Professional services for plan review of $90,000. Part-time wages for facilities management at $40,000. Building ground maintenance, $20,000. Bond issuance fees of $85,000. In addition, we had some proceeds from grants and some asset forfeitures in the DEA. So we're going to receive the proceeds from the Metro Narcotics Task Force asset forfeitures of $22,949. That's the bad guys' money. And then we're going to spend it on small equipment for police in the amount of $22,949. We received a grant for naloxone kits of $5,850, and we purchased them for $5,850. We received our state liquor allotment of $72,001, and we're going to spend that on DUI enforcement, mostly body cams, of $72,001. We received proceeds from the Utah Highway Safety Grant for shipping costs of the speed trailer of $415, and we spent it on shipping costs for the speed trailer, $415. So that's all of the changes to the general fund that we're asking for. In addition to that, we're needing, there was a agreement with the developer in the Fireclay area that we did earlier this year, and it was not actually budgeted for because you had delayed payment to that developer for several years. So this is kind of the catch-up payment. So we're asking you to approve a budget of $550,000 that was paid and approved by you to the developer, and we'll need to use reserves of the RDA fund to pay that, or to make that payment, which it's already been made. The cemetery fund received revenues for care fees in the amount of $4,600 and interest income of $25,000, and we're going to bring those into reserves to take care of the cemetery. The power fund had interest income of $175,000. The Public Treasures Investment Fund is doing very well this year. We're really grateful for that. Our revenue for work orders, they did a lot of work as well for others, $375,000 of additional revenue. We're going to decrease revenue for write-offs in $125,000. Benefits for distribution division of $12,000, overtime for dispatch of $17,000, an increase for hydro maintenance of $100,000, and miscellaneous expense for engineering of $296,000. So that will be the the power fund. Next will be the Parkway Fund, and we're just asking you to move part-time wages from the Golf Pro into the Greens Division. The Telecom Fund, where we received additional revenue for connection fees. The connections are going up for Utopia, and we've received another $20,000, and we're going to pay that out to Utopia in the amount of $20,000. And finally, the Solid Waste Fund has also been very busy renting out dumpsters. So they've received $16,500 in additional revenue, and we're spending it to rent the dumpsters at $16,500. Those would be the budget amendments, final for the year. I believe they will keep us in compliance with the state as we go through our final financial audit in the next few months. And I believe that we are financially sound and sustainable going forward. Any questions about those budget items?
I just have.
You want me to reread those, don't you? Just kidding. Sorry.
Of course I do. I think there's just been a repeat on Z, AA, and BB that has $415 twice. Is that?
Yes, one of them is revenue that we received. The other one will be expense.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, I will leave it in your capable hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. We'll now go to the public for comment. Okay, seeing none, we'll bring this matter to the council. Any discussion or questions? Okay, we'll take a motion in a second, please.
Okay, I will move to adopt the ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2017-2018.
I'll second that.
Aye.
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 Aye. We'll now move to unfinished business. We have none scheduled, so we'll move on to new business. Item 10.1, consider a resolution approving a public entity resolution authorizing certain employees to access and transact with City Public Treasurer's Investment Fund, PTIF accounts. Tim Tingey presenting.
Council, this item is a requirement of the Office of State Treasurer, and they specifically require that a public entity resolution be adopted designating who can invest and who's authorized to invest the funding in that Public Treasurer's Investment Fund accounts. We have two individuals that are identified. Once again, this defines who those people are. It's Wendell Coombs, our City Treasurer. If he's not here, Denise Steck, our Finance Director. And so, like I say, this is a requirement of the state, and they need this for us to continue to move forward in investing in these funds. So we're recommending approval.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Any questions for Tim? Okay, we'll take a discussion on this. Okay, seeing none, a motion and a second.
I'll move we adopt the resolution approving a public entity resolution authorizing certain employees to access and transact with city public treasurers' investment fund accounts.
I'll second. Aye.
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 Aye. We'll now move to item 10.2, consider a resolution authorizing the execution of an amendment to the Metropolitan Narcotics Task Force Agreement, an interlocal cooperation agreement between the Drug Enforcement Administration, Salt Lake City, Unified Police Department, Utah Department of Public Safety, West Valley City, Murray City, Sandy City, West Jordan City, South Jordan City, Utah Department of Corrections, Summit County Sheriff's Office, and Cottonwood Heights City, the parties, for the purpose of authorizing Salt Lake City as the host fiscal agency for the task force and clarifying certain terms of the agreement. It's a lot of words to say we're moving it from Murray to Salt Lake, right?
This is really quite simple
Okay.
in a lot of ways. No, we're members of the Metropolitan Narcotics Task Force as a city, as a police department, but also for the last 20 years, Murray City has also been the host fiscal agency for the task force. It's now time for those duties and responsibilities to shift elsewhere, and Salt Lake City, effective July 1st, will become the new host fiscal agency. And so this amendment just takes Murray out and puts Salt Lake City in there as part of our agreement.
Any questions for the chief? Okay, thank you, Chief Burnett. To the council for motion and a second.
I'll move to approve the resolution as previously stated.
That's very good. Thank you, Councilwoman Turner. Yeah,
I'll second.
moved and seconded.
Aye.
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 Aye. Item 10.3, consider a resolution authorizing an amendment of an interlocal cooperation agreement between Salt Lake County and the city for the prisoner transportation to and from the Murray City Municipal Justice Court. Mike Williams presenting.
Hi. This is the fourth amendment to the fifth agreement that we've had with the jail on transporting defendants from the jail to the court. It's only going to go up 9 cents a head for the transportation, which is well within the budget that we set. This year, so far, for the 11 months, we've transported 1,025 inmates. So we are a busy court.
Yeah.
And so we get van loads of inmates. So we've gone to the jail to do it, where we used to have the constables do it 6 years ago. A lot more safety, a lot more security. And so I just ask that we agree to the resolution. Thank you.
Questions for Mike? Okay, we take a motion on this?
I move that we approve the resolution authorizing an amendment of an interlocal corporation agreement between Salt Lake County and the city for prisoners' transportation to and from the Murray City Municipal Justice Court.
I'll second.
Aye.
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 Aye. Item 10.4, consider adoption of a resolution of the Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, authorizing the issuance and sale of not more than $8,600,000 aggregate principal amount of water and sewer revenue bonds, Series 2018, and related matters. Denise?
Just me. So the parameters resolution is a resolution that will set the parameters within which the city can authorize debt issuance. And so you always do this about 30 days or more prior to any kind of a debt issuance. What we're asking you to approve debt issuance is for an $8.6 million water revenue bond or loan of some sort. The $8.6 million will fund some well replacements and water line upsizing within the city limits that are needed immediately. And so this money will be able to fund that to start that construction actually this summer. The parameters with which we're asking you to authorize are $8.6 million of principal, 21 years of maturity and no more, a sales price of between less than 97.5%. Typically, right now, though, you're going to see premium, so I'm expecting probably 105%, meaning we'll get a little more money, and we'll be able to get more projects done for the same amount of debt service. An interest rate of no more than 5%, and that the designated officers for this loan or debt issuance would be the mayor and the finance director. So in essence, you're authorizing us after this to issue debt within those parameters and nothing outside of those parameters, but to make some decisions as the debt is issued. The city's applied right now for a state-sponsored low-interest loan from the Division of Water Quality, and we expect that that loan will be approved. However, this parameters resolution will allow us to go into the open market if that loan is not approved, or if the interest rate that they're suggesting is in excess of what we believe we could get in the open market. Right now, my estimates in the open market would be about 3.25 to 3.5%. We believe, and we've asked for 2.5% at the water quality loan, but you'd kind of go low, hoping they'll go there, but I'm thinking they'll probably go more with 3%. We're using George K. Baum and Company as our financial advisors, and they have also recommended this avenue for us to go. And Gilmore and Bell, Randy Larson, is our bond counsel on this debt issuance as well. So when you adopt this parameters resolution, that will begin a 30-day clock. And during that time period, we will receive public comment about this debt issuance. The debt issuance has been included in our budget that you just adopted, and as has the debt service for this debt issuance. We will have a public hearing on July 17th at 6:30, which is your normal regular meeting, at which time we will hear from the public about their comments on this debt issuance. So the parameters resolution should be adopted tonight, should you agree with it, or considered for adoption tonight. Then it will begin the clock. We will have the public hearing on July 17th, and we believe that the department or the Division of Water Quality will make a ruling the beginning of August, and we should be able to receive the proceeds about that point in time. So that's our recommendation, and we would like for your consideration the adoption of the parameters resolution. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
Okay, to the council for discussion. If no discussion, is there a motion?
I'll move adoption of the resolution of the Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, authorizing the issuance and sale of not more than $8,600,000 aggregate principal amount of water and sewer revenue bonds, Series 2018, and related matters.
Thank you, Denise.
I'll second that.
Diane. Motion and seconded.
Aye.
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 Aye. Now move to item 10.5. Consider an ordinance imposing a temporary ban on the discharge of fireworks and other ignition sources in specified fire risk areas. Gil Rodriguez presenting.
Thank you. This is what we do every year as the fireworks season comes along. We have certain areas that we restrict. Our Fire Marshal Dykeman, he'll kind of give you some of the specifics of what they do.
There has been a change this year with the state legislature. They're kind of directing us a little bit in what we are permitted to do as far as fireworks restrictions. We're going with the same three areas we've gone in previous years, which is along the Jordan River Parkway, in the area of Murray Park, and in the area of Wheeler Farm. In years past, we've been allowed a 300-foot buffer, which gives us a pretty good buffer from those areas. But the legislature this year, for whatever reason, I won't say that I agree with it, is only allowing us a 200-foot buffer. So they're kind of not giving us the ability to restrict fireworks in those areas. So just be aware of that. Again, we've done this each and every year. I think we're kind of looking to make this more of a permanent ordinance rather than something that we come to you each year and ask you to do this. I will tell you this year, we look around surrounding states. I know Nevada, southern Utah, we're already in the fire season, and you think that that we don't have to be concerned about that, but frankly, these areas each year are kind of high risk, and we really want to keep an eye on them. So that's the information I've got to provide you. If you have any questions, I'd certainly be glad to answer them.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
To the council for a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we adopt the ordinance imposing a temporary ban on the discharge of fireworks and other ignition sources in specified fire risk areas.
I'll second.
Motion and seconded.
Aye.
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 Aye. Now move to our the last item on our agenda of 10.6, consider a resolution providing advice and consent to the mayor's appointment of John Harris as the city's fire chief. And just so there's no confusion, John will be sworn in on July 17th. So just wanted to make sure that was clear. Mayor?
Okay, thank you. First of all, Chief Rodriguez, I want you to know that when I asked for this to be on the second meeting of June, that meeting was scheduled originally on June 19th. So didn't mean to push you out the door. Having said that, I think it's great that you're here for this as well. As you know, council, that the state law and city ordinance requires advice and consent of the council for appointment of the mayor's appointment of any department heads. So you all know Chief Harris, or Johnny, as some of you know him by. I was thinking back as I was sitting here earlier, remembering sometime back in the mid-'90s, hiring a young kid from just got out of boot camp in Colorado and came to work for us here. Just got his certs, his Fire One and so forth certifications, and watched Johnny really blossom here in Murray City. He's been a great firefighter. He's very well educated and has a real passion for the job, and look forward to working with him as a department head and as our fire chief. So I'm asking you this evening to pass the resolution giving your consent.
Thank you, Mayor.
You ready for a motion?
Yes, please.
I'll move that we approve the resolution providing advice and consent to the mayor's appointment of John Harris as the city's fire chief.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and seconded. Jennifer?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, and also I wanted to say, great choice, Mayor.
And I'll give an aye, and that's for Amy too, so.
Yep.
Okay, aye. Okay, that brings us to the item 11 of our agenda, closing item, report from the mayor.
I don't have really anything to report tonight. We just had a meeting last week, and I just want to thank you for your good work here tonight. There was a lot of things that you took care of tonight, so thank you. I don't have any further report, but I am available for questions if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor?
Oh, thank you.
Okay, that will conclude our agenda. Motion to adjourn.